I'd like to introduce our newest sponsor, Swim Angelfish. Swim Angelfish is an online certification program that strengthens your teaching curriculum to serve swimmers of all abilities. Swim Angelfish will prepare you and your instructors with the skills to teach swimmers with autism, physical disabilities, anxiety, sensory and motor conditions, and more. Learn to teach skills faster and with more comfort with Swim Angelfish. Apply for an Only Alpha Pool Product Scholarship and receive up to 50% off your certification. Go to swimangelfish.com today to apply. Looking to host your first swim meet or replacing an old timing system? Run a swim meet with ease from your laptop using Superior Swim Timing. You can use Superior Swim Timing with your existing equipment, or they can provide you with a complete timing solution, including deck harnesses, buttons, and starter. SST is fully compatible with Hy-Tek and Team Unify, as well as Colorado, Daktronics, and Amiga touchpads. Go to superiorswimtiming.com to learn more and be sure to tell them I sent you. Oh, there we are. Bobby Finke, welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Where are you coming from?
So I came back up to Gainesville like 8 a.m. this morning. So I'm back here ready for school starting on Monday, and whenever Nesty wants me to hop in the pool, I'll be ready for that.
You haven't had that conversation yet?
No, not to like a really like informative extent. I asked him like when we got back home after Tokyo, and I was like, hey, when do you want me back? And I was like, we'll see. Yes.
Oh, good.
But,
well, don't
expecting it to be next week. Sorry.
Don't pester him about that. Just
yeah. Just wait a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, man, I got to be honest straight off the bat. I didn't know much about you up until about the last 15 of the 800 in Tokyo. Yeah. That's when I started to really get to know you well.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way, 2 Olympic golds, man. Just incredible, really.
Yeah, it's I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't expect a medal or anything when going into this meet. I just wanted to do my best and make the finals. And, after the prelims 800, which was day 5, I think, or something, day 4. I don't even know. I dropped like 6 seconds, 6 or 5 seconds. And then I went in 3rd to the final. I was like, oh, I got a really good shot to medal here. But I didn't even like think about the gold. I just wanted like a bronze or something. That would have been like a cherry on the top to this whole summer. So going into the last 50, I didn't really know where I was. I knew I wasn't in contention for the medal at all. And then,
well, yeah, I don't know if that's encouraging for people to hear that or it pisses people off.
Yeah.
Like there's certainly, people that swim their whole lives professionally at that level and just never get there. And then here you are,
Yeah.
not even expecting to get there and come away with 2 gold. That's
Yeah.
I don't know
It
what
was
the mindset is. Did that help you to be that relaxed, or was it
mhm.
just really that unexpected?
I think it helped me a lot, 'cause I came into meet with not really, like, too much pressure,
Yep.
um, so I was just going there and just trying to do the best I could, just to be, like, completely honest with you, and if the best I could was making the finals and not medaling, I was gonna be happy with that. If it was making a bronze or silver, I'd be happy with that, but I guess it was a gold, so, um, I'm just
Well,
happy to
let's dig
happy to
into that
share
a
that
little bit
experience.
because the best you could was the trials where you actually swam your best times. Like 5 weeks
Mhm.
earlier, you swam best times.
Yeah.
So what I think a lot of people are trying to figure out is how do you then in 5 weeks drop? Like you said, I think you went from 748 to 741. I mean,
Mhm.
massive drop right there. And then in the 1500, I think you won the trials in 1446, and then you
Yeah.
win the Olympics in what was it,
39.
1439. So
Yeah.
I mean, again, massive drop. So
Mhm.
talk to me about those 5 weeks then. What went on in that time where you felt like it really contributed to those massive drops?
Mm. So, specifically for, like, the 800, for the mile, I was expecting to drop, like, a good amount because, um, I 3 years ago, I was 14:48, and I only dropped, like, 2 seconds at trials, and I was still, like, kinda disappointed about the time there, but for the 800, it was a complete shocker, going leading up to trials, we had, like or not trials, the games, we had, like, a 2.5 week training trip in Hawaii, and, like, I had really good practices there that, I've never had before, and then even in our 2-week training trip when we got to Japan, I had one of the best practices of my life, and even, like, pacing for the 800 right before it, I think I was going 27, like, 4s to the feet, like, just 50s pace, just, like, smooth controlling, just, like, trying to feel good, so I had, like I knew in the back of me that I had the ability to, like, keep up with the other guys and, like, race them because I was able to do these things in practice. It was like, why can't I do this?
Mm.
I was getting, like, confidence boosts out of just from my coaches and racing people and everything, yeah.
Talk to me about one of those practices. You said 2 weeks out in Hawaii, especially,
Mhm,
there was some indicators there. Was there a particular practice that stands out in your mind like that one? I,
mhm.
I ripped that one. Talk to me about that one.
I can't remember, like, the set to, like, exact detail or
Mhm.
anything, but it was, like, some 300s, some 200s, and then hundreds, and I was able to go under 3. I was, like, pretty easily, like I wasn't stressing about going under 2, and then under a minute was, like, a piece of cake. So, but, like, I've never been consistently under 3, but that was, like when I did that 300, I was like, "I can do this again, like, no problem. Just if you ask me, I'll do it."
Mm.
So that was a huge indicator for me, and I'm not that fast in practice. I'm kinda bad a lot of the time, so it was I was really happy to, like, see those times, and Nesty was too, and, yeah, I was having, like, the time of my life.
You've gone through kind of something similar, obviously going
Mhm,
from SECs to NCAAs and having that
mhm,
5 weeks, around 5 weeks, where you can fine tune and you can rest up a little bit more and you just do things at a higher quality. You
mhm.
think that contributed to this preparation as well?
Yeah. So, the college season, I'd say this past year has helped a lot more than I feel like people who weren't in college, if that, like, kinda makes sense, because our college season, we weren't allowed spectators or anything like that, so going into the games, I knew kinda what it was to swim without spectators or fans or anything like that. I wasn't, like, shocked or bothered by there not being, I guess, as loud, even though the athlete section was really loud. That was surprising, but I wasn't like bothered by that or anything. And surprisingly, I've always done well with like a double taper. I think my first one was 2018 Pan Packs. I entered the meet like 3 weeks before, going like 14:55 in the mile. I was like 18 at the time, and then 3 weeks later, I went 14:48. Um, and that that race was really good. I was racing Jordan in that race, and he's a really tough competitor. As well as Jack McLaughlin, he was in between us.
Mm.
Um, but so I always knew I was like pretty good on the double taper. I was normally always better on the back end of it, and who doesn't like the taper, especially with the Gator program.
Well, I certainly want to dig into that a little bit, but I want to know more just about you. Like, I think the audience, for people who know you, they know you. But for the people like me and maybe worldwide, a lot of people like, who the hell's Bobby Fink? And maybe even some of
Yeah.
your competitors, like, who's this guy that just beat everybody? So it's like, just going back a little bit, where'd you grow up? How'd you get into swimming? I understand you've got kind of like a swimming family as well.
Mhm. Yeah. So I lived in Florida my whole life. I was born around the Tampa area in Clearwater. Um, my mom swam for Ball State back in the 70s. And my dad actually never swam. He did like all the other sports, but he became a swim coach in 2012. He was always the one driving us up to practice and everything. And he was always like sitting in the bleachers and watching. He was like, why don't I get into this? He grew to love the sport just by watching people do it, and he wanted to become a coach after that. And then of course I have two older sisters who one swam at UF for 4 years. She actually just came back up this past Monday for law school back at UF. So I'll be here with my oldest sister. And then my other one, Summer, swam at FSU for a year and then transferred to NC State for her last 3 years. She took a gap year, and then she swam there for either 2 or 3 years. But yeah, just I always grew up competing them, and just always don't I always say like don't compare yourselves, but I was always comparing myself to them when I was like 10 years old, 12 years old. I was like, where were they when they were here? Because girls were always like typically faster than guys before the guys hit puberty and stuff. So I was always racing, competing, and that's one of the things I love about the sport is just competing with everyone.
I think I may have recruited your sister at one stage,
Mm.
summer. I think
Summer or autumn, somewhere,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think
Summer and
one.
autumn, and then you get Bobby, a non-season name.
How'd you end up with that?
Yeah.
You could have been winter.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. Look, did your dad coach you at any particular time?
No.
Okay.
So my dad works with like I was 12 when he became a coach, and he works with like I'd say like elementary school, so that's like 10 and under.
Right.
And then it's kind of like how our back at Saint Petersburg Aquatics, it goes by like um elementary school, which is like 1 through 5, which is like normally 10 and under, and then after that, depending on like I guess like how advanced or like how I guess good are you, then you'll go up to either the middle school or high school group. It really like depends on like what are your skills in the sport and like what's your experience. But
Yeah.
no, I never swam under him. He was always on the pool deck with me though. Yeah.
Right. Does he give you advice? Does he correct you? Does he critique you or anything like that?
No, that's one of the boundaries we have. I one of the like because I was a 12-year-old at the time. One of the things he like asked me before he became a coach was like, "Are you okay with this?" And like I'm
Mm.
12, but I was able to have it. And I was like, "Yeah, but I want you to be my dad. I don't want you to be like my coach. I want you to just be like my father figure, if that like makes sense.
Yeah.
Which so we have like that kind of boundary there.
Cool.
And I've always appreciated that boundary. I think it helped just because, I love my dad,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
He's my biggest supporter, but I want him to like, be my dad. I don't want him to be my coach.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So in terms of your coaches, before you get to UF, talk to me about them.
So I jumped. I believe I jumped around club teams when I was like between 5 and 7. I went to a team called CUDA, which doesn't exist anymore. That coach actually became my high school coach for my high school, but I never swam with the high school. I just competed for them. He was pretty nice and let me do that. So when I turned like 7, I moved to Saint Petersburg Aquatics under Fred Lewis, and I stayed with him ever since until I left for college in 2018.
Oh, wow. Fred Lewis. Hey, so
Yeah.
in terms of the philosophy going from a 7-year-old all the way up to, 17, 18 before you get to college, how did that growth happen, within his program for you?
Yeah, so the biggest change I noticed was between 2017 and 2018, as in like terms of practices. Like before that, we were doing like tons of yardage and then just pounding it out, 3-hour Wednesdays. I remember that. Hated it, but I somehow like miss it a little bit just because I like the feeling of dying because it's funny, but I love watching people die. It's always funny. Even like when I die, there's this one practice Alfonso
In
and I
swimming terms, not actually.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but when 2018 like rolled around, practices became like they weren't as long. Like they were still like 7,000 or so, but we wouldn't hit 8,000 as much or like consistently as we did back in 2017. Like we do 8,000 every day, like easily.
What was the shift for, you think?
I don't really know. It just like happened.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm one of those people who like if a coach gives me something to do, I'll do it. That's
right.
the one thing when people like ask for like advice or anything, I always say like trust your coaches. So Nessie's always like, "Hey, what do you think we should do for like taper and stuff?" And I was like, "Whatever you think's good, coach. I trust you. That's
It's your job. I'm just
that's
doing
all
it.
it is." Yeah. But we do a lot more like quality kind of like speed stuff in 2018, and it kind of if it transitioned a bit in college too. 2019, I guess. We
Yep.
did like a lot of yardage, and then coming back around for my sophomore season, we shifted a little bit to like speed a little bit like that. We weren't like consistently pounding out yardage. Yeah, it's been a weird cycle, but I've just been enjoying the ride. Yeah.
What do you think's better? I mean, do you think that the combination is necessary, or do you think you prefer one over the other?
So yeah, I think a combination is pretty good to have, and I feel like I've had that, just like switching years or just like there's been like crazy practices of like 10,000 yardage, especially during Christmas season, Christmas training. It gets kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, I think a combination of the two is like extremely necessary. Like people like to call it garbage yardage and stuff like that, but I think that's necessarily not just for like physical or like just swimming wise, but also just like mental, because garbage yardage, what are you thinking most of the time? You're bored, you know, you don't want to you don't want to be there. It's boring, and you know, there's points where you're like, is this necessary? But there when I like hit that point of like asking myself, is this necessary? I'm like, yeah, it helps me mentally, it helps me become tougher. It helps me at the back end of races when everything is hurting. So yeah, a combination between the two is, I'd say, really really good to have.
So I guess there's never really been a time for you where you felt like I haven't done enough work here. Like I haven't got enough work under my belt. You've always felt like you've done enough when you come up to a big race.
Yeah, I'd say I actually questioned myself a little bit, like a little before, like 2 weeks before trials, because we had 2 months after NCs, I think, before trials started. And I was like kind of just like wondering, if we got up to speed for a month or so, if we got there in time. But then, times were showing and practices were good. So I lost like that little, I guess, like not like negative thought, but just like,
Right. A little
curious.
bit of doubt.
Yeah. I lost that pretty quickly, especially with like just talking to my coaches, just like seeing what the plan was. And yeah, I got full confidence again and just trusted them.
What are the things that give you confidence? You said you had some little indicators, a few weeks
Mhm.
out and stuff like that. What are those things for you that give you that confidence?
So fast practices is, obviously one of them, but just being in a good mood too. Just being happy, like even if like practices are crappy, like there's this one practice Alfonso Mestre and I were doing. It was like 4 100s off the blocks and then 450s like straight after off the blocks. It'd be the 4 100s would be on like 2 minutes, and then it'd be 250s on 130, then 250s on a minute. And it's just like all off the blocks, like all out. And Alfonso and I were doing so bad. Like it was like it was straight up embarrassing. Um, like one of the hundreds we did, we'd go out like 26, but then we'd come back 32. Like we were dying. It was so bad. But like every time after we got to the wall, we were laughing just because like we were still like having fun, even though we were swimming the worst we've ever had in our life.
What is
So
that? Just the taper blues or something?
I don't know. We were just doing so bad. Yeah, like every time we got out to the wall, we were just like laughing with each other, just like, oh my God.
So,
Yeah.
so you feel like you have the ability just to kind of shake things off like that and put them behind you. You don't dwell on those things very long.
There's things I like, it takes me longer to dwell on them, but then there's definitely times where, yeah, like that practice, it comes off of me really quick. But when I do dwell on things like a little bit longer than what I believe I should, I got a really good group of teammates and even coaches just around me. Like one of them is Brennan Gravely. He he helped me a lot after it was this one meet like right before trials too. I was like, oh man, my mile should have been faster, and my 4 free was like really bad. So I was like pretty frustrated after that. But then like, he came around to me and like always like checked in with me, and even one of my good friends, Dakota Mahaffey. Like I got a really good group up here, and
Mhm.
they always helped me if I was always like down about something.
I was going to say that you guys seem to have a team. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, especially at the NCAA level right now, you guys are
Mhm.
loaded. And I understand you got some recruits coming in that
Yeah.
some big boys.
Yeah.
So you must feel pretty good about the college season coming up and the team you have.
Yeah, we are really excited. We are really excited, especially this is like a year we could win NCs. So that's definitely like a goal we all have. And we got an incredible freshman group coming in. We only lost 3 total seniors, so nearly everyone's coming back, and that's like really exciting to think about. So
It's
yeah,
almost
we're
like
all really excited.
it's almost like yours to lose, really. Do you think? Like you guys feel like you're the favorites? I mean, you're a double Olympic gold medalist for God's sake. You got
Yeah,
Kieran Smith on the team. I mean, come on, you guys
yeah.
have to feel like the favorites, right?
Um, for NCs, like team wise,
Hmm.
I don't think we are the favorites. Texas still has like a really crazy group, but like you know we we took we took a jab at that margin.
Hmm.
We've gotten a lot closer, and Cal's up there too. They got a lot of their 5th years back, but it's not shaking us. We we want to win that title this year, but we'll just have to see what happens, really.
When was the last time Florida men won NCAAs?
Oh, it's been maybe like the 70s or 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
It's
so
been
long enough
a
to
long time.
not even remember, basically. So for you,
Yeah.
anyway. But so what's the culture then? What? I mean, you're going to be one of the team leaders. You're going to be one of those guys that's setting the culture, and maybe it's already there. You feel like it's clicking, but what is the team culture at Florida right now, where you feel like this is the year to do it?
Yeah, so we're all like a really tight group of guys. It's amazing. Week, every week we meet with a sports psychiatrist, like the whole team does, and we all just like we open up to each other, which you don't really see among like guys
Mm.
too often. So it's definitely something really cool, and it's definitely brought us closer together. His name is like Dwayne Allen,
Hmm.
and he's really brought our group close together. And even like people around us, they said they've never seen like a team atmosphere like ours. So it's we're all just really close, and
Nice.
yeah, it's always exciting to go to practice with them. Like we still have our fair share of like trash talk, but it's always like fun trash talk.
Yeah.
um, yeah, we're just like a really really close group of guys, and yeah.
You think it's going to be an advantage or disadvantage that the men and women are combined again, in terms of maybe even Coach Nesty's responsibilities? Do you
Yeah.
you see that as being something that could pull you guys apart in any way?
No, no, not at all. Nesty, he's been coaching since way before I was born, and he's been in the NCAA level. He's won a gold medal.
Yeah.
He's been there. He's seen everything. I have full confidence in him. It is like a group of 86 people.
Mm.
So he's got to figure out some practice times and stuff, but he's also got a great group of staff around him. So I have full confidence in our team, our coaches, staff, and weight room staff, and we have a lot of support around here that I'm not worried about anything.
Cool. You did mention weight room stuff. Talk to me about that, because I know you guys have an incredible strength coach. What's
Mhm.
the strength program for you like, being a distance swimmer? What do you do? How do you do it? How often, kind of thing?
Yeah, so our strength coach is Tracy Zimmer. Um, whether this might shock people a little bit, I'm not too sure, but I do like the exact same things as the sprint group. Everyone always does the same thing. It's just if something needs to be modified, then it will be modified. But during like the year, I'm doing the exact same thing as everyone else. I'm obviously not lifting the same weight. I'm definitely not as strong as our sprint group, or is a lot of people in there. So
Mm.
I'm definitely not lifting the same weight as them, but I still lift 3 times a week. We're still doing like the same sets, same reps, and yeah, just we're a
Wow.
big group of guys in there.
So you do Olympic movements in the gym?
Yeah, yeah, Olympic lifting.
Wow, very cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Do the pros like Caeleb, do they get in there at the same time, or are they on a different schedule?
So, well, last year because of COVID, they couldn't really have like the pro groups or like anyone who wasn't competing for the university at the NC2A level.
Mm.
So he's with Matt Delancey right
Okay.
now.
Mhm.
He was like a long time weight room coach for like swimming and a whole bunch of other sports. So I think he's been lifting in actually his garage. I know Matt's got like a really good setup over there. So I think a lot of the pro group has been over there really just because they couldn't get into our weight room.
All right. I didn't realize Matt wasn't working with the college team anymore.
No,
Is that
yeah.
how long's that been since he kind of?
So he was with us our freshman year, and then our sophomore year, Tracy came in,
Okay.
but I think they were like Tracy was like under his wing and stuff,
Mm.
like introducing us to her and everything. And then it was official coming into our junior year where Tracy took over for us.
Right. Right.
Mm.
A couple of other things I want to dig into a little bit. What's it like training with Kieran Smith and him being, on the Olympic team with you as well?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We do have a lot of practices together, and then there's some practices where we don't have together, but it's always fun. We're racing each other and everything. We both swim sort of the same events, or like not like the same events, but like distance, middle distance, IM, and that stuff. So just like always competing with him in practice, and even like out of practice, we have an ongoing game of ping pong with each other. He's destroying me in it, but I'm catching up a little bit. Like I'll win a game and he'll win a game, but then sometimes I'll go on like a hot streak of winning games and then he'll like destroy it. But he did just get to 100 wins on me for singles. I'm at like 80 something, so he's got a good of a lead, but I've been dwindling it down a little bit. I'm hoping to relinquish the lead by the end of the year.
So you guys are more competitive out of the pool than in the pool.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
we have. We're keeping score on this game. This means a lot to us.
Who's the better trainer? Who can handle more work in the pool or at a higher quality, you think?
Kieran is really fast in the pool. Like not even just like meet wise, practice wise. Like when we get up on the blocks, he loves getting on the blocks and just racing and just having fun. Like we'll do a set of 6-1s, and that's he just loves it. Like he's dead at the end, and it's funny, but he loves it. He always goes crazy on the first one, and then the second one it like hits a little bit, and then the third one it's like oof. But then number 6 is number 6 is funny to watch, and I'm just over here doing 31s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, between the two of you, there has been a slight level of disrespect with US distance recently.
Yeah.
And I guess you've brought back some respect, obviously, with the 2 double golds, massive respect. But did you guys sense that going into the games? Did you feel like there was something you had to prove?
I don't rather I wouldn't say like something had to prove, but like just going back and like, just having fun doing the best we can. Um, but yeah, we were definitely aware of it going into the games of like how long it's been since a gold medal or anything is won, which we've gotten a lot of silvers and bronzes along the way, which it's not bad, but the gold has always eluded the 4 free and mile, but 8 free is new. So, but yeah, we're just looking forward to the future and trying to just trying to get better for ourselves, really.
Nice. Well, the future's obviously bright. You've been 21 and still got so much ahead of you, and the time drops you're making now. But did you know anything about your competitors on the international level? Did you had you had some experience with them before?
So the only experience I've raced Jack McLaughlin before
Right.
at Jack McLaughlin and Jordan Wolomoski, but Jordan did open water this time. He focused on that. But the only experience I really had was back in 2017 Worlds. I raced Paul Chineri in a prelims heat of the mile, and I did really bad. And he obviously made it back. He didn't have to try or anything. But that's the only thing I've ever raced like those 3 guys in. And
Wow.
yeah, it was just Paul Chineri. But yeah, I was completely aware of like who they were. I watched 2016. I watched 2017 with Paul Chineri and Romanchuk, and then obviously 2019 with Wellbrock and Romanchuk and Paul Chineri, all 3 of those guys. So yeah, I've watched them all, and I've even looked up to them.
I was going to
Yeah.
say that. Yeah. I mean, did you have kind of distance heroes in any, growing up? I mean,
Mm.
Australia's been super dominant, but recently,
Mm.
people like Poltrinari and these types of athletes have
Yeah.
had enormous success. So you must have looked up to some of your competitors as well.
Yeah, so Paul Chineri was in the I think he got 5th or 4th in 2012 in a mile.
Mm,
He was like 17, I think. He went like 46 or something like
mm.
that. Something crazy. Yeah, I've looked up to him, and not people want to say his name, Sun Yang, before all that stuff happened. But yeah, so yeah, I've looked up to a lot of those guys. I wanted to be on the same stage and just race them and yeah, and just see them really.
So you've obviously followed their race plans and
Mhm,
you've seen the way they swim it at least.
mhm,
In going into the 800 final, let's start with that one. Did you have a set plan? I mean, obviously the last 50 took everybody by surprise, but was that a
mhm.
surprise to you? Is that the way you had planned that?
It no, not at all. I was not planning that, not in the slightest.
So what was the plan then? Tell me that.
Just to race them, but
But
yeah,
I
it,
mean, you
it
must have had an idea of like, okay, I want to be on this pace. I want to be in this
was.
position. I mean, was it as detailed as that, or was it just more like go out and have fun?
Yeah, I wasn't I didn't care about time at the end of the day, it's
Wow,
I just wanted to race them and, try and get a medal, really.
wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. So, what was Nesty's last words of advice then?
Just have fun, you're ready. Yeah,
That's it. That's
yeah.
it. Now, do you feel in yourself that you're better coming from behind like that? Like you didn't want to put yourself out in the lead, obviously, and kind of
Mhm,
you know lead from the get go. So, do
mhm.
you feel like you're better suited to holding back and then chasing people down at the end?
Um, I don't really know. I kinda like being out front, but the games here just kinda like I like being out front if I'm going for a time, I guess.
Mm,
Um, but, like, the games, like, kinda changed me, just, especially in the mile. Like, the mile, that was my race plan, just to stay with the guys and then
okay,
try and outsprint them at the end. But,
right.
yeah, it's I guess, like, when I'm racing for a medal where the time isn't, like, really I don't really care about the time. It's just racing the other people,
Right.
really.
Right, yeah. A little bit like Chad Leclos, he kinda has the same strategy of, like, just go
Mm,
out there and see how the race plays out, and then when I'm in
yeah.
it, then I just stick my head down. So,
Mhm,
at some point, you're obviously keeping an eye out on what's going on in the race in the 800 for starters. Um, what's going through your head? Are you trying to stay within a range of them or, how are you feeling at the 500, 600, 700? Is it going the way you want it to go?
So, for the 800, um, I wasn't, like, really too close to them with, 100 to go, like, they really picked it up on for the 750 part, and then, I I was hurting, yeah, it was just really just trying to race them, and, there was a gold medal on the line for the 800, and, it was, like, the first 800 ever being contested, so that last 50, I was really just I was really just trying to get my hand on the wall, just trying to sprint, I had my it's something my coaches have worked on me a lot within this past year was being able to switch gears, and, I had that being screamed in my head and everything,
Right.
just trying to get my hand on the wall because there's a gold on the line. It's the 50 it's only gonna hurt for whatever the last 50 split was 26. So it's only gonna hurt for 26 seconds,
See, that's
but
it though. That's it right there. That's the piece of
Mhm,
gold I was looking for. You kinda
mhm,
tapped into it subconsciously. You said your coaches,
mhm.
told you to switch gears. So that's something you had obviously practiced then.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like Steve, yeah, just like in the fall, it was always just like he was like just walking around a deck and everything. You gotta be able to switch gears. It's the end. It
Mm.
hurts, but you gotta be able to switch gears. Um,
And what does that
so
mean to you in practice then? So you're holding a pace and then you're just digging as deep as you can in practice?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's because it comes around, like, the end of the set, really, when,
Right.
Steve knows you're hurting, and SC knows, and then they just start yelling at you more and more and more just to, get going. Yeah, it's almost over, just
What's he yelling? Just get going.
switch gears. It's almost over. It hurts, but yeah,
So
you'll
for you, it's always the goal of to end as fast as you possibly can then.
Yeah, if I'm ending the race, or at least not like for the Olympic sake, because it's medal wise, but like for time wise, if I'm ending a race knowing I could have gone faster, sprinting the last 50 or so, I'm pretty disappointed because I feel like I didn't do my best.
Right.
I always just want to walk away from the race just knowing I did my best and
Right.
that I just gave it my all out there, really.
Have you had moments in practice where you have finished consistently in 25s, 26s at the end of a set?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially yeah. It hurts. There's this one set, 31s. We do it
Right.
like once or twice a year, and it's on like 130. And I always like the first two are always like really rough because you're like just getting into it. But then for those next like 28, the I just want to try and hold consistent, but also as fast as possible, really. So
What are you holding?
So for short course, because we do it like short course and stuff, which
Mhm.
is yards. Last time I think I did it was like 50.50s to 50.9s, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and like my mile pace short course yards is 51
Mhm.
6, 51 8. But going into this year, I want to hold like just straight up 50 points. I don't want to be on that edge again. I I think it'd be pretty cool if I could hold like 49s or something throughout the whole set. But yeah, towards the end,
Yeah.
there's definitely been sets where I've like slipped off a little bit, but I've always like been able to bring it back at least on the last one
Uh-huh.
or last two. And then there's sets where I end up just getting faster. You
Right.
know, yeah,
But
yeah,
generally on the last one, you might drop a 48, 49 or something like that?
yeah. The last one of the set, last one of the day,
Yeah.
you might as well give it all. But there's definitely times where Nessie's like, don't overdo yourself on the last one, just because it's the beginning of the week and it can ruin you, ruin you for the week. But yeah, especially with the guys just racing on that very last interval, very last rep, it's fun. It hurts, but you're done after it. It's just a little bit of pain for whatever 50 or 48, 47 seconds, really.
Do you go into that same mental mode too of like, I don't really care what the time is, but the guy next to me is not going to outtouch me?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that in practice. Yeah. Especially because Alfonso and I race a lot in practice. We typically do the same practice like the whole time. Kieran's not with us all the time, but Alfonso's with me like 95% of the time. So I'm with him a lot, and we're both going into this like thinking I don't want this guy to beat me. And we could go 300 on a 300, but as long as we beat the other, then we're happy.
Yeah. I actually had Grant Hackett calling your 1500 at the
Oh,
Olympics. He was doing the commentary for it, and he was talking us through some stuff. And I think even he was surprised at the end with the way you came back.
yeah.
He hadn't seen anything like that before. But yeah, you should check that out. It's
Mm,
incredible, just the insights that he was giving into kind of the
mm,
mentality of the race and the way he would strategize it and things like that. So super cool. But
mm.
yeah, I mean that 25-7 at the end of the 1500. I mean,
Yeah.
there's 100 freestylers who'd love to come back, and the 200 freestylers that love to come back in that. I mean, it's that's just insanely fast. Did you feel like some super surge of energy come over you at that point?
So I was feeling a lot better, at least throughout the mile. I didn't feel like I was expending like too much energy or anything just throughout it. Um, it definitely wasn't like the 800 where I felt like I was just dying. But in the mile, I was feeling I was feeling good. Like I could have kept going at that pace for a long time, but like it was like the 800. There's a gold on the line, and there was a chance for me to double up on the distances like Katie did. So, and I knew like just from the 800, I had a good finishing speed, so I wasn't gonna think I could only come back 28 or 27 or so. I wanted
Mm.
to feel like I could come back as whatever I needed to get my hand on the wall.
You seem like a pretty relaxed, nice guy, but there's a killer inside you, man. Like there's someone that hates to lose desperately in there, right?
That's from my sisters. Just competing with them like throughout my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Now, you said you could hold this pace in the 1500 for a while, and a lot of the competitors that you swam against swam the open water. Is there any thought of doing that in the future?
So after maybe I'm not gonna rule it out completely. Um, I love pool swimming. Open water is like kind of different with like that's like really just like staying with the guys, staying with the pack, and then out kicking them at the end. Just it's a lot longer. Except for Tokyo, Wellbrock destroyed everyone at like the last lap.
Mm,
That was crazy. But I, I'm glad I didn't do open water in Tokyo. I can confidently say that. Um, after the mile, after celebrating, after media and everything, I just wanted to get home and see my family.
mm.
I don't think I would have made it like another 6 days or so. I just wanted to get home, see my family, see my dog, and just relax with them because I was just having one of like the best meets of my life. So
I also don't think people realize how emotionally draining it is too to
mm,
go into that environment. And we saw the way kind of Caeleb even
mm,
dealt with some of that, like the emotions that just came out,
mm.
from having to deal with being up all the time and being focused and being on. And did you learn anything from Caeleb as a teammate, watching him go through the process?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the biggest things I learned from Caleb was dealing with pressure. And it's not like something he like went out and taught us. It's just something from just watching him and just listening to him speak about just swimming in general. It's just
Mm.
it, the pressure is the pressure you feel is the pressure you put on yourself. Other people can't put that pressure on you unless you allow them to. So it's really just kind of understand that point and just the pressure you feel is you control that pressure. You
Right.
can block it out. You can do well with it. A lot of people perform really well under that kind of intense pressure, but at the end
Mm.
of the day, it's coming from you.
Right. Yeah, I think Caleb does a incredible job with that. That's very
Yeah.
difficult when it's coming
Mhm.
from the outside, just
Yeah.
pouring in. And I
He's
and I
he's
guess that's what
good.
you're going to experience too now. Like I mean, there are obviously people within the NCAA system who knew you and who know you, but you're the double Olympic champ now, man. You got the target on your back. Like everybody knows who you are now. There's no hiding at all.
Yeah, yeah. I in 3 years or yeah, 3 years.
Hmm.
I I want to defend these medals, and I don't want to just like here have this one.
Hmm.
I want to defend them. I'm probably gonna if I make the team in 2024. I want to go in acting like I don't have a medal. I still want to feel that last 50 again. Just feel like I'm fighting for that. You know.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
Caleb deals with a lot. Just like the Michael Phelps pressure people are like expecting from him, and just
Hmm.
the insane times and world records and everything. He's amazing at dealing with that pressure. So
Yeah.
it, there's a lot to learn from him.
Does he turn off social media and block out things like that, or how does he handle it internally?
So I'm not really sure if he blocks out social media. I don't think he does. Um, I could be wrong though, but yeah, it's just he's a really fun guy to be around. He's pretty chill, pretty
Yep.
relaxed, and
Yep.
he loves helping people.
Hmm.
You know, he's just a overall sweet, charming guy to, just have a conversation with. You
Yep.
can ask him anything in the world, and he'll be willing to help you. So yeah, I think it's just part of his character, really.
Yeah. I had another question just on your training real quick.
Mm.
A
Yeah.
lot of people who train distance train kind of the old Michigan way with the color system.
Mhm.
I understand you guys don't necessarily do that. Like you train with gears or a gear. Like talk to me about the way that you actually build your
Mhm.
endurance.
So we do a lot of heart rate stuff.
Right.
Like for 10 seconds on your side. It's Nessie loves doing heart rate 28, heart rate 26, heart rate 24, heart rate 26, and then heart rate 28 is like really picking it up. Although last year he started he started doing something of and he just skipped 24 and 26 altogether. He would just write 28 and then write a plus and then 28 plus plus and then 28 plus plus plus. So yeah. We do a lot of heart rate stuff and just from the 28 just going all out all the time.
So it seems like there's a lot more race pace being built into what you're doing on a regular basis.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah. What about like kicking and pulling? I mean, you obviously
Mhm.
you seem to hold a lot of water both on your hands and your legs are ridiculous at the end of races. Do you break those up into particular, major kick sets, major pull sets?
Yeah, it's for the kick sets, it's typically in the beginning of the year. We do a ton of kicking, especially this past year. It was a lot, but obviously paid off. Um, but I'm actually pretty bad at freestyle kick.
Mm,
I'm like I'd say I'm one of the better ones on the team, but my fly kick is a lot better than it. And like the people that are good at the freestyle kick on the team like kick my butt all the time in freestyle kick. So
right. Wow.
yeah, and then like for pole sets, I've my club coach did a lot of polling with me just like growing up. So I grew up to love pole. Half the time I go faster in practice polling than I do swimming. And,
Yeah.
it's the pole boy like kind of like a cheat code because it just brings your hips up like the whole time. You don't really have to do anything about it. But yeah, during like taper with Nesty, we switched to buoy a lot because distance goes off of weights sooner than the sprint group.
Right.
So yeah, it kind of just depends on the time of the year, really.
Do you prefer training IM or distance freestyle?
Distance freestyle. There's something about butterfly in practice that just makes it so much harder. I don't understand what it is, but butterfly in practice is awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in a coaching group, and I was texting them before this, telling them I'm going to interview you. And
Mhm.
Kim Bracken, one of the coaches in the group, told me that she feels like you could be a world class backstroker. She said your backstroker is gorgeous. Is that something that you're considering?
Um, I would love to do the 2 back. Um, it clashes with the 8 free though. I've always had like a pretty decent backstroke.
Right.
It's like one of my strong points in the IM. I can like go pretty decent 100 backstroke time in the IM, but with I'm not like really trying too hard and really just working the freestyle at the end of that. But yeah, it clashes with the 8 free. Um, so I'd stick with the 8 free first, but I would love to do the 2 back at some meet. I think it'd be fun, a little off event, but could turn into a prime event. I don't know.
There we go.
We'll just have to see.
Ryan Murphy's listening to this.
No, Ryan would kick my butt. That's just a fact.
Well, what about the 4IM? Is this something that you would, have dreams of being an Olympic champion in one day?
I I've actually been thinking about the 4 AM a lot. Um, making that final heat would have been hard to do. That was the fastest finals or prelims, ever, you know?
Mm.
And then but the finals heat was a bit different, but that turnaround was insane. So I was like, I bet I was thinking like if I made the 4M, I bet I could have made it back to the finals. It's just a matter of how well I could have recovered my body, And at that point, that race was just the whole games was nearly just about who could recover the best for the next day, especially for those quick turnarounds for the 4 a.m. and 4 free, and even just prelims to semifinals. It was how well you could recover yourself.
Talk to me about that. What's
Yeah.
your recovery system between your races then? What's your go-to?
So I hate swimming in the morning. Like I'm always slower at it. I don't know why.
You won 2
Not
Olympic gold medals in the morning, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think all of us were feeling that way too. I think if it was, like, at nighttime, we all could have gone, like, faster,
Yeah.
I don't know if the medal situation would have been the same, but I believe we all could have gone, like, easily faster, but, I was pretty lucky. I got 2 night sleeps before, right after, and then I didn't even have to get up early, so I got to sleep into whenever I wanted and then go to the pool, loosen a little bit, and hop on a massage table,
Mhm.
and then go to lunch, have a ton of pasta, go back to the village, watch
Mhm.
watch like a season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then, eat a ton of pasta again for dinner, and, get another good night's sleep in right before I race. So, yeah.
That's it, guys. There's the system right there.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I got to tell you, you might not want to hear this, but if you were Australian and you went home right now, you'd be a millionaire, my friend. They love their distance swimmers down there. Is this
Yeah.
something you're looking to cash in on? Have you signed with an agent? I mean, I don't know the full extent of the NCA rules now, but I understand you can obviously sign contracts. So is this something that you have yet cashed in on or looking to cash in on?
So, I am actually looking for an agent right now. I've been,
Boom.
like, narrowing down my search and stuff, so
Mhm.
I'm looking to do that really, really soon, and then, after I get the agent, I'm looking for a couple deals that could be good for me in college. I don't wanna, like, overwhelm myself too much just because, I still am a full-time student, I still got a really busy schedule, so I don't know how far I'll go into the sponsorships, but if there's good ones out there for me, I'd love to be a part of them and, just so I guess try to build my brand up a little bit. I think that'd be pretty cool to do, and, I'm just looking forward to the future.
Nice. Are you at least on a full scholarship at Florida?
Yeah. I won't say any details. I won't say any details.
Yeah, don't. That was a
Yeah.
trick question. But, wow, double Olympic champ, not on full scholarship. You heard it
No,
there,
I'm
everybody.
not saying anything.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, I really appreciate this. It's been fun getting to know you. Even just in the couple of hours before I did this, I was watching videos of you, and you just seem like a really good guy, a great role model for everyone in your area.
Thank you.
I saw you get back, and you went straight to a swim meet, and it's really good stuff, man. People, we need people like you in the sport, and you know, I'm
Thank
glad
you.
to get to know you.
It's thank you for having me on your show. It's been great. I saw Ariarne's or
Yep.
Titmus's interview of her holding 26s. That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
26s for a woman, long course, like 20 of them on 130.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
is insane.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Shout
nuts.
out to her for that. I've never met her, but, that's insane.
Well, I'll clip this and I'll send it to her.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, listen, good luck with the college season. I hope you guys come away with the trophy. I mean, you got the team. Let's go get it done. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor, and I had a lot of fun.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Bobby. Take care, man.
Thanks. You too.